All right, let's ride. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. No matter where you're watching or how you're watching, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. Today's show presented to you by the fine folks at Aura, all-in-one digital security, and they're offering a free 14-day trial if you go to aura.com/chatsports. Millions of people get their identities stolen on a yearly basis. Get rid of that headache. Get rid of that worry by signing up with Aura. That link available in the comment section and the description of this video. We'll officially start the show coming up in about 10 minutes, but first, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? We have access to the analytics thanks to YouTube. We're able to see where a lot of people are tuned in from, but I'm looking at the comment section. I'm seeing Robert Bruce, Norin Rad, Richard Lee, a lot of other people also tuned in after getting that notification. Let me know where you're rocking and rolling with us from and shout out your city. We're emanating live from the Chat Sports Studios in Dallas, Texas. I'm Chase Senior. He is producer Jeffrey Cooperstein, riding along with you. Say, Chi-Town, baby. Rainy Dallas from Richard Lee. St. Louis from Cam. Tommy T and his beautiful girls, D.C. That's where my sister lives. Shout out to D.C. Brandon, watching from Texas. P. King is in Toronto. Illinois from Richard. Las Vegas from Dante. California from Norin. Ronnie Beatty, California. Tom in Providence. YouTube at work. Shh, Kerry Cox. Don't worry, they're not stalking you or anything like that. It's important for us to see the analytics because we want to know where you're at. NBA Finals tips off tomorrow. By the way, we're going to be doing watch parties for every single NBA Finals game here on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, as well as on Golden State Warriors Today. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV, or even easier for you, just hit that red subscribe button. Those watch parties, they're going to be awesome. I hope you join us for each and every one of them, as I'll be giving you some live play-by-play and analysis, and producer Coop will also be spitting his NBA hot takes as well. Celtics or Warriors, though? Who you got? Get those predictions in for the NBA Finals. BOS for Boston, GSW for the Warriors. Game 7 on ESPN between the Heat and the Celtics. Almost 13 million people tuned in. Going to be a lot of people tuned in for the NBA Finals as well. I think the ratings are certainly going to pop off. Let me know who you got, Boston or Golden State. L2 Clouds going with the Warriors. Brandon, Boston. Dante, Warriors. Torn going with the Dubs. Brandon riding with the Celtics. Warriors in 6 from Bro Football and Basketball. What'd you say? Yeah, no problem. I also can't hear myself if we can get that figured out just a tad. Nor you. AEW Top Guy, Celtics. Brandon, Boston. Tommy T and his beautiful girls, Boston in 5. Mason Voster's going with the Warriors. That is also our live poll right now. So far, 57 votes, 42% with the Celtics, 58% with the Warriors. You look at this series, I think Boston matches up favorably all across the board. They have given Golden State fits over the last couple of years. They're 2 road wins away from tying the record for the most road wins over the course of a playoff run. Really impressive for this Boston team. They're obviously going to need to play well on the road at the raucous Chase Center in San Francisco. They haven't played as well at TD Garden, the unfriendly confines in Boston. So I actually think that Boston is going to need to play a little bit better at home to have an opportunity to win this series. But defensively, best defensive team in the NBA. These were my 2 favorite teams to make it out of the East and the West, and now we're here with what is going to be a very, very intriguing NBA Finals matchup. More predictions coming in to the comment section. P. King, Warriors, Wiggins of Oz. Robert Bruce is tuned in from Rhode Island. What up, Robert? How you doing today? Tighten up. Warriors, Bro. Curry Finals MVP. Celtics in 6 from Richard Lee. Who else you got? And what do you got? What's the prediction? Let me know. The poll still standing pretty firm. Warriors at 59%, Celtics at 41%. Now it's 60-40, Golden State on 60 votes. Continue to get those votes in our live poll. If you're excited for the NBA Finals, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. This is a really good Finals matchup as we talked about. The Warriors, back in the NBA Finals once again, looking to win their fourth championship with the current iteration of this crew of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr. Whereas the Boston Celtics, back in the NBA Finals for the first time in more than a decade, two iconic brands. Boston over the course of all of NBA history, and the Warriors among this generation, the iconic franchise in this league. If you're excited for the NBA Finals, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Only 17 likes. 80 people watching live. More people are going to continue to pile in. But hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you're excited for the NBA Finals, which tips off tomorrow, Thursday night from San Francisco. We will be doing watch parties on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, as well as on Golden State Warriors today. Make sure you subscribe and join us. 2 mailbags coming your way on NBA Now as well. Make sure you use the hashtag NBA, better yet, Super Chat us. We are taking all of your donations, and if we get a $50 Super Chat, I've been known to shotgun a beer. Those are the rules that I put down for me personally. So a $50 Super Chat, I'll shotgun a beer, but we will gladly take all of your Super Chats as well. I can't hear you and still can't hear myself if we can try to get that figured out. I will preview what's coming up on today's show, though. I cooked up 5 mega blockbuster trade ideas that can take place prior to the 2022 NBA Draft. We're going to be doing 2 mailbags as well. Use the hashtag NBA or Super Chat us for your questions to be answered inside those mailbags. We do audience interaction better than anybody, folks, and we love to hear from you, where you can ask us any question that you want and offer us your hottest NBA takes. We also are going to pass along ESPN's latest NBA mock draft. A lot of movement in the first round of that mock, which is pretty fascinating. And then we're going to be going live exclusively on Rumble after the show, passing along all of the latest NBA news and rumors. Latest on DeAndre Ayton, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and Quinn Snyder. For those of you watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and follow us on Rumble, because after our YouTube show wraps up, that's when we dive into the latest NBA news and rumors. What do you got? No. It's cool. Let's just ride. As long as you hear me, we can keep it moving. Coming up next on the show, as we officially start the show, some NBA trades of the blockbuster variety that can take place prior to the 2022 NBA Draft. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Guys, 84 people watching live, 22 likes. Those are rookie numbers. I do not stand for that amateur type stuff. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you're ready to start today's show. And let's dive into these mega trade ideas right now. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you hoopers out there are having a phenomenal week. On today's show, I cooked up 5 blockbuster trade ideas that could take place prior to the 2022 NBA Draft, which is going to take place from Brooklyn, New York on June 23rd. But first, shout out to today's sponsor, Aura, for making today's show possible. The leader in online security and fraud protection. They're offering a free 14-day trial if you go to aura.com/chatsports. That link available in the comment section and the description of this video. So here we go. Really excited to dive into these realistic blockbuster and mega NBA trade ideas that can really benefit some teams across the NBA. And it'll take place with some really important and sizable player movement if these trades do come to fruition. So trade idea number 1 that I cooked up for you. It's a deal between the Atlanta Hawks and the Indiana Pacers. And we know by now that Atlanta going into this offseason has a lot of polarizing decisions to make on this roster. And after a first-round exit against the Miami Heat, in which the offense looked a little clunky, and outside of Trae Young, who really struggled at times, the bench production was certainly a question mark for Atlanta. They could make some big roster changes this upcoming offseason, and this trade would allow them to do that. Atlanta receives Malcolm Brogdon, a really good point guard when he's able to stay healthy, and in producer Coop, if we could pop that trade back up, that'd be phenomenal. Also going to Atlanta is Buddy Hield to give Trae Young a really elite shooter, a guy who, since he's come into the NBA, has been one of the most efficient shooters from from downtown. The Indiana Pacers, on the other hand, get John Collins after he signed that pretty affordable contract last offseason, as well as Kevin Huerter, who really showed up and showed out 2 years ago in the NBA playoffs, especially in that second round series against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Hawks would be able to get a playmaker and shooter to help out Ice Trae. And Trae Young last year, I think a lot of people slept on him. He had an MVP level season. If the Hawks were better as a basketball team, he would have gotten more recognition as a bona fide MVP candidate. And for Atlanta, this is the inevitable shakeup that a lot of NBA insiders and executives around the league are predicting. As for Trae Young, he's a superstar player. I just think the roster around him needs to make a little bit more sense, and the fit needs to be a little bit more seamless. 2 years ago in the NBA playoffs, this roster was a lot of fun. Last year, though, they were terribly defensively, and outside of Trae, they did not have consistent offensive performers. But 28 points per game last year, a career high for Ice Trae. So too were the assist numbers at nearly 10, where he was able to show a lot of growth with his vision. 46% shooter, really good considering the volume there, and 38% from beyond the arc. To the Atlanta side of things with this trade idea, Indiana would be able to continue to build their young core of Tyrese Halliburton after that NBA trade deadline acquisition last year, John Collins, Kevin Huerter, Chris Duarte, who I thought had a pretty solid rookie season and projects to be a very good 3-and-D player, and Miles Turner if they don't send him packing. Brighter future between these two teams. So we're talking about Atlanta as well as Indiana. Let me know in the comments section. I'm fielding all of your responses down below. ATL for the Hawks, IND for the Pacers. Trade idea number 2. This is a juicy one. Going to the Philadelphia 76ers, the player that Joel Embiid reportedly wanted to play with instead of James Harden leading up to the NBA trade deadline, and Bradley Beal, a really good two-way guard in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Kyle Kuzma, who can be a spot starter or come in off the bench and go on some heaters offensively. To the Wizards, this would require a sign-and trade or an opt-in for James Harden going to the nation's capital, and Tobias Harris, who I thought actually played really well after a couple of rough games after that James Harden acquisition, and was one of the better offensive players for Philadelphia throughout their playoff run, which lasted 2 playoff series. The big question for the Beard: is he washed? He was the NBA scoring champion only a couple years ago, but from that point on, he is in bad shape. He's lost a step, lost a little bit of explosiveness, and there are serious questions about how he was going to age, and especially considering the fact that he could be among some of the NBA's highest paid players. During the regular season, numbers were solid, but not to the MVP caliber of play that we've seen from James Harden in years prior. 22 points per game, 10 dimes, less than 8 rebounds, but here's where things get a little bit hairy and concerning. The field goal percentage and the three-point percentage, both in the regular season, as well as the playoffs, fell off a cliff. And James Harden has never been the most explosive offensive player. So when he loses a step, that becomes a big concern, and it becomes really, really glaring, because if he can't beat somebody off the dribble with that first step, his offensive game is rendered much more inefficient. As for Bradley Beal, he had a pretty big drop-off in 2021, 2022. I think a big reason for that, he was hurting with that wrist injury. But from 2019 through 2021, one of the best bucket getters at the NBA level. He was phenomenal. Averaged nearly 31 points per game. 2 years ago, runner-up in the NBA scoring title behind Steph Curry. The shooting split's very good, but as you can see, the points per game, as well as the field goal numbers from the field, as well as long range, did go down. But again, I think that's a byproduct of Bradley Beal being injured. We have 3 more trade ideas to get to, but first, I want to ask you this question. Who wins this trade on your screen right now? Is it Philly with Bradley Beal teaming up with Joel Embiid, or is it Washington getting back James Harden and Tobias Harris? Let me know down below in the comment section. This trade idea is producer Coop's favorite one of the bunch. And can you imagine if Ben Simmons never plays a single game for the Brooklyn Nets? What a deal and a failure of a trade that would be for Brooklyn if they move on from him without getting any production or games played at all. But I happen to like this trade idea for both sides and the individual of Ben Simmons. Nets receive Jeremy Grant Morant, Sadiq Bey, and Kelly Olynyk. The Pistons get back Ben Simmons solely, who I think could be a really good player around Cade Cunningham, especially if they can land Jaden Ivey in the NBA draft come June. Career averages for Simmons. Everybody remembers the playoff flameout against the Atlanta Hawks. It was no doubt ugly. He looked scared to shoot the basketball. He looked scared on the offensive end. During crunch time and in the guts of the game, he looked like he didn't even want to be on the floor. And this year, a lot of mysterious issues with that back injury that he got surgically repaired this offseason. If he's able to bounce back from that and get back to the form that we've seen from Ben Simmons, a former number one pick, Simmons can be a very good complementary piece. I don't think he can be a superstar player to lead you to an NBA championship, but I do think that he can be really good as a point forward alongside Cade Cunningham and maybe Jaden Ivey and be a very impactful player because of his ability to impact games in a variety of ways. 16 points per game throughout his career, 7 rebounds, nearly 7 dimes. His vision for his size is really special, and he was an all-NBA player only last year. Really, really impressive, and a steal and a half per game as well. He can too block shots at the rim. Now, if you love hoops, if you love the NBA, if you enjoy our NBA content, well, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day, but I also want you to show us some love and show us that you love basketball and all the content that we continue to churn out here at Chat Sports by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. Today's presenting sponsor, it is Aura. Now, they are offering a free 14-day trial if you go to aura.com/chatsports. Nowadays, everything lives online digitally, and we do more online than ever. Aura does everything and more to keep you and your family safe. You can get near real-time alerts on suspicious credit card inquiries. And sometimes a lot of us in the past have gotten those alerts from our banks that our credit card has been hacked, or even worse, our identity has been stolen. Millions of people per year do get their identity stolen. Aura does everything and more to keep you from getting all of those headaches. Financial fraud protection, digital online security, they are the best at what they do. And if you go to aura.com/chatsports, you can sign up a free 14-day trial. And by plugging in that link, you can cover up to 5 family members. That link right now available and living in the comment section and the description of this video. 2 more trade ideas to get to. This one between the Charlotte Hornets and the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert seems to be disgruntled in Utah, and the Jazz could be en route to blowing it all up. Questions about Quinn Snyder returning. Does Donovan Mitchell even want to play for Utah any longer? Does Gobert want to be the 1B to Donovan Mitchell's 1A? So he could demand a trade, or the Jazz could look to tinker with that roster and send him away. Gobert to the Hornets, and in exchange, Utah receives P.J. Washington, James Bouknight, as well as this man on your screen right now in Gordon Hayward as he returns to Utah. The mysterious piece in this trade is Hayward, who is able to put together a really impressive career coming out of Butler with the Jazz. He signs that big deal with the Boston Celtics, but then suffers that gruesome leg injury. The first game with Boston hasn't really been quite the same player since, but by going back to Utah, could the best be brought out of him? Could his career get rejuvenated and extended to a certain degree? When he's been on the floor, he's been a very productive player. Stats with the Hornets in 93 games played, 17.5 points per game. He's connected on almost 47% of his shots, 40% from 3. Injuries have just kept him down. But if he goes back to Utah and he's able to stay healthy, he gives the Jazz a pretty good perimeter and wing player that they've been missing the last couple of years, and he'd be able to go back to Utah, which would be a great story. As for Gobert, him operating a little 2-man game with LaMelo Ball would certainly be really exciting. And right now, the Charlotte Hornets, they are bereft of a legitimate big in that front court. Gobert would fulfill that need. Last year in 66 games, 15.5 points. He's a rebounding machine, one of the best defensive players of this generation, north of 2 blocks. Of course, he's not a guy who's going to stretch his offensive game out to the 3-point arc, but he's such an efficient player. And as a rim protector, as a guy who can operate that 2-man game, throw down some alley-oops from LaMelo Ball, and take some of those creative passes because of the special special vision of LaMelo, he would be an intriguing player alongside one of the best young and ascending players in the association. Who wins this trade? I want to hear from you. Sound off right now. And if you want to rip me for any of these trade ideas, feel free to do that as well. CHA for Charlotte, UTA for the Jazz. Let me know once more. Last trade idea. It is Dallas's utmost priority to make Luka Doncic happy and surround him with the roster that allows that team to consistently make deep runs in the NBA playoffs. Now, this year, they were able to make it past the first round for the first time since winning an NBA championship over the Miami Heat all the way back in 2011. Now they have to continue to build on that momentum. And I think this trade would allow them to do that and certainly fill some voids on that roster right now. They don't have rim protection at all. And they didn't have it with Kristaps Porzingis because he's more of an offensive player. They need to get better defensively when guards and wings are able to get past that first level of the defense and get into the trenches. Clint Capella, Danilo Gallinari. Capella can provide you rim protection. Gallinari can give you a shooter who's more consistent than a Davis Bertans. The Hawks received Tim Hardaway Jr. after signing that big deal in NBA free agency last year. But I think you need to get a little bit better defensively, and Hardaway doesn't give you a lot of a defensive presence. Dwight Powell is really just okay, but he was exposed at times, in my opinion, throughout the NBA playoffs. And as a former first-round pick, Josh Green really hasn't done much. It's time to cut bait with him, and also going to Atlanta, a 2025 first-round pick, because I think you're getting the more immediate upgrades in this deal with Capella as well as Gallinari. The Mavs' focus has to be, for Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd, finding guys who work and fit around Luka Doncic. He's very ball dominant. He's not the easiest guy to play with. He's a unique player to play with. Now, for me, I'm a shooter. When I play pickup hoops, you can always rely on me to knock down some three-point shots. I would love to play with Luka Doncic because I'd hover around the perimeter, and he has truly special vision to find me no matter where I'm at. Even if I'm behind him, he has eyes in the back of his head. But with other ball-dominant players, it really wouldn't work out with Luka Doncic. The thing is, lob threat for Capella, a catch-and-shoot guy in Gallinari. That's why this trade idea makes sense in my opinion. If you're subscribed to us here at Chat Sports, as we give you multiple videos per day, covering all of the latest NBA news and rumors, everything going down with the NFL, college football, and more, I want you to show me that you're a real one by typing gang in the comment section. We'll go back, and we'll certainly show you some love. Okay, next up on the show, we're going to be doing a mailbag. Your opportunity to hop on board, join the show, and get your questions answered. And if you want to pass along a hot take, you can do that with a super chat. I saw the Gold Eagle 99 came in with a super chat. We'll answer that during our mailbag, but use the hashtag NBA, better yet super chat us for your questions to be answered. Also, for all of you watching, we're going to be going live after our YouTube show wraps up exclusively on Rumble. Before we get to this mailbag, though, I'm looking at the numbers right now. About 200 people watching live, 41 likes. I can't stand for that. Folks, you got to show up, show out. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. If you're liking today's show, if you love me, if you love producer Coop, if you love the NBA, if you're excited about the NBA Finals, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Can we get to, let's say, 70 likes before we start this mailbag? I think we can do that. Shout out to everybody watching right now, looking at the comment section. Nico the Kid, Bro Football and Basketball, Fast Food Toy Box. Paolo Bencaro is in the chat. Okay, Dookie. Jamison Clegg getting his question in. Fast Food Toy Box getting his question in as well. Robert Bruce, I see your question using the hashtag NBA. Hashtag NBA if you want your questions answered during this upcoming mailbag. We're going to be doing 2 mailbags on today's show. This one, we'll do a mock draft and get to the latest NBA draft rumors. Then at the end, we'll be doing one more mailbag. What'd you say? Okay, cool. More shout-outs to those of you in the comment section as we have the sex bots in the chat. Type buy to get rid of the sex bots. We don't want them here. Jamison Clegg, Brandon, the Gold Eagle 99. Tony is also here. The Gold Eagle 99. Good looks. With that $20 super chat, we will answer that during an upcoming mailbag. Hashtag NBA or super chat us. What'd you say? Okay. So we're going to be going live exclusively on Rumble after our live show on YouTube and Rumble wraps up. We'll be going exclusively live on Rumble, breaking down all of the latest NBA news and rumors. We're dealing with a lot of technical difficulties here today as our internet is going in and out. So thanks to all of you for bearing with us. Terry, great content. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Another super chat coming in from Colin Reed. If we get a $50 super chat, I'll shotgun a beer live here on the show because we're never scared. Bro football and basketball, throwing up that hand. 70 likes, and then we'll start this next mailbag. We're at 56 likes right now. More than 200 people watching live. The Fadies, Tillman Hamiel, getting that question in for this upcoming mailbag. Appreciate that. We'll also answer all of your super chats. An NBA mock draft still to come, in addition to all of the latest NBA draft rumors, and then NBA news and rumors coming your way exclusively on Rumble. So make sure you follow us there, rumble.com/NBA now. As soon as producer Coop tells me that we're ready to start this mailbag, we will get this mailbag underway. We're good to go. So let's answer all of your questions. And if you have any questions and don't get them answered in this mailbag, we have another mailbag coming your way in a few minutes down the road. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, as always, Chase Sr. Coming your way on today's show, going to answer all of your questions revolving around the NBA draft, NBA free agency, as well as the NBA playoffs, and we're taking your super chats and your donations as well. We start off this mailbag with this question coming in from Evan Hinders. Timberwolves trade their first-round pick for Brandon Ingram, and they get Aaron Gordon. First-round pick for Brandon Ingram and Aaron Gordon. Now, if I'm New Orleans, I'm not trading away Brandon Ingram. I think he's one of the best young ascending players in the NBA last year, especially in the playoffs. He came onto the scene as one of the best offensive players in the game. He has every offensive move pretty much in his offensive pocket, and I love his length and his ability to get a shot off from anywhere. So for the Timberwolves, it'd be great to find a way to get Brandon Ingram. I don't think a first-round pick is enough for both Ingram and go get Aaron Gordon. That would, of course, revolve around a three-team deal. I think the New Orleans Pelicans are going to move forward with Brandon Ingram. They're going to see if Zion Williamson can stay healthy. And if those two players are on the floor, in addition to C.J. McCollum and some of the other complementary pieces on this roster, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones last year was fantastic. The Pelicans, they could be a force to be reckoned with this upcoming season. The Gold Eagle 99 with the $20 super chat. Shout out to you, my guy. What about Rudy Gobert to the Mavericks for Dwight Powell, Davis Bertans, and Reggie Bullock? I do like the prospects of Rudy Gobert going to the Dallas Mavericks. I think the rim protection throughout the playoffs was a big issue, and I think that teams, once they were able to get past that first and second line of the defense, the Mavericks didn't have a rim protector to really change the complexion of games, and they got picked apart on some pick and rolls and some of the two-man games throughout a couple of these playoff series en route to what was a very impressive run to the Western Conference Finals. I think they need a bona fide rim protector, and I think that Rudy Gobert would be able to give them that. He's very expensive, though. So can you afford to bring in Rudy Gobert with a trade, sign Jalen Brunson, and also fill out the rest of your roster? I'm not sure. I might rather go with a cheaper piece as compared to Rudy Gobert so that I can bring back Jalen Brunson, who I think is a legitimate number 3 on a championship contending team. You got to find that number 2 guy. I just don't want to allocate that money to Rudy Gobert as that number 2 guy. But as a rim protector, I do like the fit on the Mavericks roster. Speaking of Luka Doncic and some other players in the NBA, I've said this a couple of times. I think the talent pool at the NBA level right now is as deep and vast as it's been in many, many years. You turn on NBA League Pass, and teams like the Orlando Magic and Detroit Pistons are actually fun to watch because of some of the young players on the team. But the upper echelon of players, also very, very elite. So speaking of that, give me the best name and the best player in the NBA right now and drop that name in the comment section. Another donation coming in from Colin Reed. He's been a big supporter of what we do here at Chat Sports. The Kings, Dort and pick number 12. OKC, pick number 4. Is it realistic? I think it's somewhat realistic. I think there are teams in the lottery who are going to be willing to trade out of their designated spots to maybe move back and pick up either another pick this year if a team has multiple first-round picks or maybe a future pick. And we know that OKC likes to wheel and deal. That is the bread and butter for Sam Presti. I honestly like Lou Dort, though, staying on OKC, and if they get their draft pick right this year, man, OKC can be a really, really good team. Now, what are they going to do with their pick? Are they going to go Chet Holmgren? Are they going to go with best player available? And could that be Jabari Smith? Could it be Paolo Banchero? Big decision upcoming for OKC. Colin, thank you for that $2 super chat. Bro football and basketball with this. Donovan Mitchell in a second for Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel in the 11th pick. If I'm Utah, that's not enough. I want more. I want RJ Barrett. Now, I would like to see, if I'm a Knicks fan, Donovan Mitchell team up with RJ Barrett. That could be a really good young twosome at the NBA level. And Donovan Mitchell certainly has to get better as a defensive player, but as an offensive player, he's a juggernaut. And I love his mentality. I love his competitive desire. I love his work ethic. I love how he's never afraid of the big moment in the playoffs. He's had some really good playoff moments for a Jazz team that's failed to make it out of the second round of the playoffs. But within the playoffs, he's played really, really good. For him to be considered an elite player, he has to get much better on the defensive end. And I just don't think, even though he's not a good defensive player, with what he gives you offensively, Randall, Noel, and the 11th pick is enough. I want more. I want RJ Barrett in that deal if I'm Utah, because that will help my rebuilding process to a certain degree. Hey, we're talking about the NBA draft, and look who's tuned in. Paolo Banchero. Wood Tate, 17th pick for the Blazers' 7th pick. Yeah, a lot of jockeying here with some of these trade proposals. If I'm going from the 7th pick to the 17th pick, I want something more than Christian Wood. Christian Wood's a solid player, a guy who can stretch the floor as a big, knock down some big shots. But I don't want to go back 10 spots because getting Christian Wood isn't going to move the needle enough for me. Now, again, I do think that there is going to be some movement within the NBA draft lottery, and some teams are going to be willing to move off of their picks because it's not as deep of a draft class as it was last year. But for both teams, I don't think that deal works. Now, in the comment section now, I want you to shout out your favorite team. I know we have people tuned in from all across the world, every pocket of America, but also worldwide as well. So I want to see which teams you are repping in the comment section. Shout out your favorite team right now. You can watch NBA Now content on YouTube. You can also watch us on Rumble as we continue to grow to the platforms that you as the viewers use. And we have a wonderful competition going on as we continue to ride the seesaw between 3 of our flagship shows here at Chat Sports. Warriors Today, NBA Now, which is what you're watching right now, as well as the Lakers Report. Look how closely tied everything is with Rumble followers. Warriors Today leading the charge by a little more than 100 followers. NBA Now right on the heels of Warriors Today. Lakers Report right there too. Subscribe to all of our NBA content on Rumble by going to rumble.com/NBA Now and show some love to the team channels as well. Norin Reed, top unrestricted free agent targets. A lot of it is going to come down to which players opt in and which players opt out. Like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, they could become NBA free agents. Realistic guys, you're looking at DeAndre Ayton as the upper echelon of guys who are going to be free agents. And it's going to be really, really fascinating to see which players opt in, which players opt out. There could be some sign-in trades. Zach LaVine could also be an unrestricted free agent if he doesn't sign back with the Chicago Bulls. This free agency class is really, really legit. I'd say that crew is probably the best in the upper echelon of the top unrestricted free agent targets, again, depending on some of the player options. We did put a video out of the top NBA free agents that's available on the channel right now. Jason Kreider, what are your best Rudy Gobert destinations? And something that makes me mad is that Jalen Suggs plays shooting guard right now. Do you think that Cole Anthony will move to the bench and Suggs can play his true position? Yeah, during our NBA mock draft, right after the NBA draft lottery, people were like, Jalen Suggs, he's a shooting guard. He's not a point guard. He is a point guard. Now, he plays on ball, he plays off ball, and I prefer him to play more on ball. I think he should be the point guard for the Orlando Magic moving forward. I think he has a high basketball IQ. I love the floor general nature that he brings to the floor night in, night out. As a former state champion high school quarterback and as a guy who led Gonzaga to the national title game back a couple years ago, he has great leadership qualities. His passing vision is truly special. I think his game is best when he's playing point guard because if he's playing off ball, it doesn't suit his fullest capabilities. So I agree with you. He should play more on ball. I think Cole Anthony should be the spark plug off the bench for the Orlando Magic. I think that's where he better suits. As for Rudy Gobert, top destinations, Dallas Mavericks, they need a rim protector. Charlotte Hornets would certainly be an intriguing team. The Toronto Raptors could be dangerous with Rudy Gobert. They do such a great job of player development, but they also have so much length and athleticism. Adding Rudy Gobert to the fold would be fascinating. Now, they might have to trade away a player like OG Anunoby in order to get back Rudy Gobert, but still, that team defensively could be tantalizing. Jay Harrell Obrador, hopefully I pronounced that right. Is it possible that Golden State will draft Kai Soto with the 28th overall pick? I talked about Kai Soto on Warriors Today, youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Check out that video. It popped off. It's going to get 50,000 views and counting. Kai Soto to the Warriors makes sense to me. Not at the 28th overall pick. I think he's better suited to be selected in the second round with two of the Warriors selections, which I believe off the top of my head, 51 and 55, I believe. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. My memory serves me correctly, then I'm right. But I think Kai Soto is better as a second-round pick. I don't think he's a first-round talent. He needs to develop. He's a little bit raw right now. He's a little bit skinny. He needs to work on his body. His footwork is a tad slow, in my opinion. But I want him to go to the Warriors because I bank on their player development process to get it right. Look at what they've done with Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, back in the day with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. What they've done with Gary Payton II. The development that's taken place with Jordan Poole has been one of the craziest storylines in the NBA this year. Kai Soto going there, I think, would be phenomenal. They have a need for depth in that front court behind Kevon Looney, who, by the way, has had a great playoff run rebounding the basketball. He was excellent against the Dallas Mavericks. There's a question mark with James Wiseman and whether or not he's going to be able to stay healthy. He only played 3 games at Memphis, not because of injuries, but because of eligibility issues. But his first 2 games, he's been off injured. So Kai Soto going to Golden State, that'd be fascinating in my opinion. Second round pick, though, not 28th. Mike Williams, what you think is going to happen with Dame Dollar? I think Damian Lillard is going to stay. And I think when CJ McCollum got traded, that ended any speculation about Damian Lillard getting traded too. I think Portland wanted to decide between one of the 2 superstars on that team, whether it be Dame, whether it be CJ McCollum. And they traded away CJ McCollum, and it worked out really well for him. He goes to New Orleans, and I thought he played really well down the stretch and in the NBA playoffs. I think he's a good piece alongside Brandon Ingram. I want to see what Zion Williamson can bring that team and what his fit will be like. Dame Dollar, he stayed loyal to Portland. He likes the Pacific Northwest. He moved like all of his family and friends there to that area. I think he's going to stay, and I think the Trailblazers are going to try to build a roster around him that will get them back into playoff contention. Another $10 super chat coming in from the Gold Eagle 99. What do you think the likelihood that Kyrie opts out? I think it's a small percentage chance that he does. I think it all comes down to whether or not Brooklyn wants him. If Brooklyn wants him, he'll opt in because he's boys with KD and they want to make another run and they don't want to have another early playoff flameout. If Brooklyn doesn't want him, I think he'll opt out. Then the question becomes, where does Kyrie Irving go? What team is going to be willing to pay him? And are there going to be a deep number of teams that actually want him because of his lack of availability and his somewhat flakiness? I think that's a little bit of a concern for Kyrie Irving. So it all comes down to what Brooklyn wants. And with what General Manager Sean Marks had said, we want people who are invested, who want to play basketball, who care about the team. I think that was a shot and a message at Kyrie. And man, can you imagine if Kyrie leaves, James Harden's already gone, KD will be by himself on an island in Brooklyn. Is Ben Simmons ever going to play? KD going to Brooklyn, one of the worst professional decisions that's been made in the NBA in recent memory, if not all time. NBA Finals, what an awesome matchup we have to watch. Boston Celtics, Golden State Warriors today. Before we get out of here on this mailbag, let me know who wins the finals. BOS for Boston, GSW for the Dubs. We'll give you some shout-outs here. Tazzy27, Sachi, Caleb Clemens, Paolo Bencaro, Zenon, $1 out of 15 cent, going with the Warriors. Anthony Conti, Dubs, Bro Football and Basketball, Warriors. Leland Lewis, Golden State. Not much Boston love except for Colin Reed. Denzel Cicero, Warriors. Cobra, Boston. The Fades, Celtics. Who else is going with the Celtics? Tish Cooksey, Jeremy, Tazzy. Coop, you're going with the Celtics? 7 games? 7 games. I'm going with the Warriors in 7 games. Paolo, Celtics in 6. Paulo, Celtics in 6. Paolo actually went Boston in 7. Good stuff there. Coming up next on the show, thanks to all of you for supporting everything that we do. You know, a little bit earlier, I had said we get a $50 super chat and I'll shotgun a beer. If we get $50 in total on today's show, I'll shotgun a beer. We're at $31.99 right now. $20 super chat will get the job done. Also, we got to get to 100 likes, folks. 75 likes with more than 300 people watching live. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. 75. NBA celebrating that 75th anniversary. Let's get to the century mark, though. That right there is the real number. Coming up next on the show, latest ESPN mock draft and NBA draft rumors, all of that coming your way. So stay tuned and let's get it. Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. Today's NBA Now episode presented by Aura, all-in-one digital safety. Nowadays, so many people get hacked with their credit cards because everything lives online. By signing up with Aura, free 14-day trial, you can avoid all of those headaches. That link is available in the comment section. It's aura.com/chatsports. NBA draft latest. We'll start off with the latest NBA draft rumors, and we'll get to ESPN's latest mock draft. So the NBA draft set for Thursday, June 23rd from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. ESPN projected all 58 picks following the NBA draft combine. You're watching right now and you're like, hold on. There's 30 teams in the NBA. There should be 60 picks. But because of tampering with the Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat, there are only 58 selections because their draft choices got taken away. Teams in the top 10, according to reports, entertaining offers to trade out of their respective selections. So there could be a lot of big movement, sizable movement within the NBA draft lottery, which would certainly make things fascinating in those first 14 picks. We'll be giving you live NBA draft coverage right here on Chat Sports. That's another reason why you got to subscribe. Before we take a look at the full first round mock draft from ESPN, we're not going to venture to the second round yet, but in a couple weeks we will certainly do that as we're about 3 weeks away from the NBA draft. If you're excited for draft time, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. ESPN's latest mock. Take a look at all these picks and I'll offer some of my own analysis and what ESPN draft expert Jonathan Givony has to say about some of these prospects. There's been a lot of movement as compared to ESPN's last mock, and it's pretty fascinating in my opinion. Jabari Smith still going number 1 to the Orlando Magic. Chet Holmgren going number 2 to the Oklahoma City Thunder as they do a great job of player development. I think that's a great place for Chet Holmgren. I personally would go with Paolo Banchero, but Banchero in this mock going to the Houston Rockets, which gives that young roster, led by Jalen Green, another intriguing young piece. Jaden Ivey climbs up the draft board, going to the Sacramento Kings at number 4, and because of that, my dream scenario of teaming up Cade Cunningham with Jaden Ivey, whose jump from his freshman year to his sophomore year was monumental, doesn't come true any longer. Instead, it's Keegan Murray, the do-it-all forward and center who reminds me a little bit of Al Horford from a basketball intangible standpoint, going to the Pistons at number 5. As for the latest on Jabari Smith, this coming in from Jonathan Givony. Most NBA teams are operating under the assumption that Smith will end up hearing his name called here at number 1 as he fits both the front office and coaching staff's philosophy for what they look for in a prospect. He is also an outstanding fit for a Magic team that badly struggled to space the floor effectively last year. Smith was arguably the most dynamic shooter in college, converting on 42% of his three-pointers last year, despite standing 6'10". And with my analysis, that's why Jabari Smith is my number 1 player in this draft class. He's 6'10", uber athletic, great length, and because of that length, he can get a shot off from anywhere on the floor, and already, I think his three-point shot is going to translate to the NBA level. People also rave about his work ethic. This is a guy who loves getting into the lab and growing his offensive arsenal. I also think he has a lot of defensive upside because of that length and athleticism. For the Pistons, I alluded to this just moments ago, the Pistons should be bummed if they're not able to get Jaden Ivey. I think the on-court pairing of Cade Cunningham as well as Jaden Ivey would lend itself to a lot of success. I love Ivey's mentality. I like his athleticism. He's not quite as bouncy as John Morant, but last year with Purdue, he was great. 17 points per game. He's a pretty good rebounder for a guard. Assists, I'd like to see those numbers grow a little bit, but playing off ball with Cade, he'd get a lot of open offensive looks. 3-point percentage at nearly 36% last year. If he can get to 38-39 with volume, Ivy will be in the league for a really long time because already his athleticism going to allow him to be an impact player right from the jump. I want to hear from you in the comment section right now because I know we have so many NBA diehard fans watching the show. Who is your favorite prospect in the 2022 NBA draft class? Me, it's Jabari Smith. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section. Pick 6 through 10. Sizable and seismic movement here. Dyson Daniels going 6 to the Indiana Pacers out of the G League Ignite. His shooting split's awful, but the upside is certainly there. One of my favorite prospects in this class is Shaedon Sharpe. He goes to the Portland Trailblazers at number 7 to give Damian Lillard another scoring threat in addition to Anthony Simons, who had a breakout year last year. Benedict Mathurin at 8 to the New Orleans Pelicans as he rises up this draft board. Jalen Duren, the center out of Memphis, who's a great rim protector, baseline to baseline runner going to the Spurs. They certainly need a big man, so I like the fit there. And arguably the best offensive scorer at the college level last year, Johnny Davis, who's already appearing on commercials, getting that bag, going to the Washington Wizards at 10. I like that because the Wizards, if they keep on to Bradley Beal, they want to win right away, and I think Davis allows them to try and do that. When I scout Shaedon Sharpe, he has the ability, he has the potential, he has the upside to be the number 1 overall player in the 2022 NBA draft class. He already was the number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2021 after he reclassified. He was an early enrollee at Kentucky, but he never played. He had a massive jump going from his junior season to his senior season. He was unranked as a prospect in his junior year. Then in the summer, going into his final year in high school, he grew from 6'4" to 6'6", and he vaulted up boards. Above the rim athlete who can certainly sky, and he can get a bucket from anywhere on the floor. Offensively, shades of Jalen Green as well as Bradley Beal in my opinion. His EYBL stats on the Nike circuit were really impressive. 22 points per game, nearly 6 rebounds. His assist numbers, not all that great, but he kind of reminds me with his offensive output of a guy like Cameron Thomas because he is solely just a bucket getter, and he connected on about 36% of his three-point shots. He could be the best player in the 2022 NBA draft, and because of that, he's one of the more polarizing prospects in this draft class. He could go top 5. He could also slip a little bit because he's also one of the great unknowns because there's no college tape on him and he hasn't played any professional basketball either. A lot of people would say that Shaedon Sharpe is getting slept on with this mock or in general going into the NBA draft. Which prospect are people sleeping on the most though? I'm fielding your responses once more in the comment section down below. Shaedon Sharpe can be in that category. So too can a guy like E.J. Liddell. Okay, we take a look at picks 11 through 15. We'll start to run through these a little bit more quickly. A.J. Griffin has a game that's reminiscent, in my opinion, of Jimmy Butler. If he goes to the New York Knicks, I like the fit on that team. He just needs to stay healthy. Missed 2 years of high school basketball with knee and ankle issues. Ousmane Dieng of the New Zealand Breakers going to OKC at number 12. He needs to go to a place that has a stable organization because he's so raw. Mark Williams, another Dookie, going to the Hornets. Maybe they make a play for DeAndre Ayton or Rudy Gobert. If they don't, maybe they select their future center at number 13. Malachi Branham out of Ohio State going to the Cavaliers at number 14. What a young group that Cleveland is starting to build, led by the first-time All-Star in Darius Garland. And Ochai Agbaji going to number 15 here to the Charlotte Hornets. As for Dieng, playing with the New Zealand Breakers, his numbers a little bit of a concern. 9 points per game, 3 rebounds. Here's where it starts to get really dicey for him as a prospect because he has length that will remind you a lot of a Brandon Ingram. Unfortunately for him, he is one of the least efficient offensive players in this draft class, but the size and the upside is certainly tantalizing. Less than 40% from the floor, playing in a really good league down there in Australia, 27% from 3. I don't think the shot is broken. I think the mechanics are pretty solid, but there's no question he needs to get a little bit better as a shooter. As for Agbaji, him going back to school and returning for a senior season paid big dividends for him. Obviously, Kansas, if I said Kentucky, they were able to win the championship last year, which was a really impressive NCAA tournament run. But with Kansas in 2020-2021, in his junior season, as he's a little bit older, a lot of people are freaking out about that. I'm not at all, because I think this guy is a plug-and-play player rotationally from day one. 14 points per game as a junior. He shot about 42% from the floor, less than 38% from three, and only 68.9% from the free throw line. He comes back for a senior year after he could have gone to the NBA draft and maybe could have been a second-round pick, and he improves his status dramatically, and I think he should be a lottery selection because of the improvements that he made. Look at the jumps here, points per game as well as the shooting splits. Nearly 19 points per game last year, 47.5% from the floor, 41% from downtown, and the free throw percentage went up to 74%. That's what happens when you work hard, when you work diligently on your craft, and you put a lot of work in the gym. And because of that, it's going to pay off for Agbaji. I think he's going to be a lottery pick, and if he isn't a lottery pick, he will be one of the biggest sleepers in this 2022 NBA draft class. Here at Chat Sports, we are approaching the grand total of 300,000 subscribers. If you are a loyal subscriber, type Hooper in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, you ain't alive. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. That'll take you to the promised land, or even easier for you, just hit that red subscribe button. Videos every single day covering all of the latest happenings in the NFL, NBA, as well as college football. Join the party, join the family. Let's get to 300,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Shout out to today's presenting sponsor, Aura, for making this NBA mock draft possible as we pass along all of the latest NBA draft rumors as well. A free 14-day trial if you go to aura.com/chatsports. Nowadays, we do more online than ever. Aura does everything and more to keep you and your family safe. What's cool is that if you sign up for this 14-day trial, you can cover up to 5 family members. Keep your identity secure with extensive monitoring of your personal info. And if your credit card or debit card gets hacked, Aura will let you know. You'll get that notification so that you can shut your credit card or your debit card off. Also, they do a great job of limiting and protecting you from you getting your identity stolen. Millions of people per year, they have that happen to them, and it is a headache, and it can be a very arduous process. Avoid all of that by going to aura.com/chatsports, a free 14-day trial if you sign up using our link. Pick 16 through 20 here. Jeremy Sohan out of Baylor going to the Atlanta Hawks. I think him, too, is going to be able to be a guy who can play from day one. Ty Washington, a floor general type of point guard going to the Houston Rockets. Coming in off the bench, I certainly like the fit there. Tari Eason out of LSU going to the Bulls at number 18. And Nikola Jovic out of Mega going to the Minnesota Timberwolves at number 19. International talent, who is the number 1 international player in this draft class, who is really fascinating for a couple of reasons. We'll do a deep dive on him in just a couple of moments. And then one of the biggest risers so far following the NBA Draft Combine is Jalen Williams out of the basketball powerhouse of Santa Clara. ESPN's draft expert Jonathan Gavoni on him. He's been one of the big winners of the pre-draft process so far, starting with his outstanding measurements, 6'6", 209 with a 7'2" wingspan, and continuing with his strong play at the NBA Combine scrimmages and at his pro day where he excelled in 3-on-3 action. Williams brings the type of defensive versatility, perimeter shooting, and off-court intangibles the franchise typically values, and looks like a good fit alongside any of the Spurs' existing players. As for Jovic, excellent size at 6'10". He's really long and athletic, and because of that, what he lacks in burst, he can get a shot off because he is so long and tall. Really good feel for the game. Classic international type of player in that regard. Solid shooting stroke. It's pretty clean. The release is really high, and he can hit contested shots. So obviously, he lacks a little bit of burst off the dribble, putting the ball on the deck. Again, he can make up for that by hitting some contested shots. Here at Chat Sports, I also know that people are tuned in from all across the globe. I want to know exactly where you're tuned in from. A lot of people are watching from America. A lot of people are also tuned in internationally as well. Give a shout out to your country or where you're watching from in the comment section right now. 21 through 25, Kennedy Chandler out of Tennessee going to the Denver Nuggets at 21. Jaden Hardy slipping a little bit, going to the Memphis Grizzlies out of the G League Ignite at 22. EJ Liddell, one of my favorite prospects in this draft class, going to Brooklyn. I love the selection for the reasons that I'm about to explain. Walker Kessler, He's tall, good shot blocker, lacks a little bit of athleticism. Because of that, dropping down some draft boards at number 24 to Milwaukee, but a great fit there because I think he can play immediately as well. And then Caleb Houston out of Michigan going to the Spurs at 25. The same things that I said about Agbaji, the same can be said for E.J. Liddell. Returning paid off for him in a massive, massive way. 2 years ago in 29 games played, 16 points per game, less than 7 boards, a block per game, which is impressive because he's not the tallest guy in the world. He connected on about 47% of his shots, 34% from the three-point line. Last year, though, points per game going up to 19, rebounds up to nearly 8, blocks per game in a really good league in the Big Ten at 2.5. He's not going to give you that at the NBA level because he lacks some size. Will remind some people of a skinnier Grant Williams, 49% from the floor and almost 37% from beyond the arc. Him going back to school is a big reason why he is starting to climb draft boards. And if he goes to a team like the Brooklyn Nets, he is a rookie who will be cheap, affordable, and could be an impact player. Last selections to get to. Trevor Keels, the point guard for Duke, to the Dallas Mavericks. They need a backup point guard. Can they get it in the form of Trevor Keels? I do like that pick. Dalen Terry out of Arizona, him and Benedict Mathurin, a really good on-court combo, really good athletes going to Miami, the player development factory that the Heat are. Christian Brown out of Kansas going to the Golden State Warriors. That pick the same with this mock draft. He can really play defense and hit some corner threes. Marion Beauchamp out of the G League Ignite going to the Grizzlies at 29. And rounding out the draft is another guy who's dropping a little bit in Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame, the youngster of the Fighting Irish going to OKC. That would be excellent value to round out the first round with the final selection in the first round. Now, we did not get to some of the second round picks. In a couple weeks, we will do a 2-round mock draft. But for all of the NBA gurus out there, who is the best second-round prospect who can actually be an impact guy? Is it a player, I don't know, like Kai Soto or somebody else? Let me know right now in the comment section. Okay, let's see what the people are saying in the chat. The Fadies, did everyone ever hear about Gabriel Procida, SGS Humble Crumb? Why in the world would the Wizards do that Sixers trade? Because Bradley Beal might want out, and if Bradley Beal wants out, you need some value back. Coke Poe tuned in from the Philippines. Rob Williams for the Celtics has a 7'6" wingspan, and he's only 6'9". That's crazy. He's been awesome defensively. He's one of the big keys in the NBA Finals, in my opinion. If he's not healthy, that could certainly hurt Boston a lot. SG, also in the chat. Paulo Banchero. J.D. Davidson, okay. Sixers fan from Brazil from Rodrigo. Make sure you subscribe to our Sixers channel, youtube.com/76erstv. All right, we're going to do one more mailbag, so get your questions in. We're also $20 away in Super Chats from me shotgunning a beer right here live on NBA Now. I'll do that with a $20 Super Chat, but we're going to do one more mailbag. Then we're going to end the YouTube stream, go live exclusively on Rumble, where I break down all of the latest NBA news and rumors. Continue to get those questions and those Super Chats in using the hashtag NBA. We ready to rock? All right, let's get to this mailbag right now. Coming up on today's show, an NBA news and rumors mailbag where I take all of your questions from our loyal subscribers here at Chat Sports. But first, if you haven't subscribed, do so right now by hitting that big red button down below or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. If you're watching us right now and you're like, man, I really like that guy's pretty face, or you think I'm ugly but you like the content, here's why you should subscribe to the channel. Multiple videos per day, year-round NBA, NFL, and college football coverage. We bring you live coverage for the NFL draft, the NBA draft lottery, as well as the NBA draft and much more, as well as watch parties, which we'll be doing for all of the NBA Finals games. All of our content 100% free, and we here at Chat Sports are considered real ones. I know the ones who are subscribed are real ones as well, so join the family here and help us get to 300,000 subscribers. We start this mailbag with this question coming in from Warzone Snipes. Detroit Pistons trade number 5 and Jeremy Grant for Anthony Simons and number 7. Now, a lot of these trade ideas throughout today's show, as you're watching us live, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching us after the fact, A lot of these trade ideas I haven't really liked. For the Pistons to trade away number 5, as they kind of got cucked in the NBA draft lottery, and Jeremy Grant for Simons as well as 7, I like Simons a lot. I thought what he was able to do last year was great. CJ McCollum gets traded away, and he immediately emerges as a very good offensive player. Now, ideally, I think Portland would like to pair him up with Damian Lillard. They'd like to hold on to him and see what they can do as the new backcourt duo in Portland. But for Detroit, Simons with Cade Cunningham, especially if you can't get Jaden Ivey, I do like that pick. And Jeremy Grant going into the final year of his contract. If you don't think that you're going to re-sign him, why not get some value back for him? Shay tuned in once again. Do you think Zach LaVine will re-sign with the Chicago Bulls? Right now, in early June, I do believe that Zach LaVine is going to return to the Windy City. Why wouldn't he? They have a really good team. Lonzo Ball, if he's able to come back off that knee injury, and I know the Chicago Bulls, a little bit concerned about that knee injury moving forward, but if he comes back, he's a really good point guard. DeMar DeRozan had a career year last year, even though he's in his early 30s. Patrick Williams is a great defensive player who can soon become one of the better 3-and-D players in the NBA. You have Zach LaVine if he comes back, and then, some of the other pieces on that roster. I think the Chicago Bulls are moving in a good direction. Now, I think that they can be a little bit better defensively, and they certainly fell off a cliff there last year, especially once the injuries happened to Lonzo Ball, as well as Alex Caruso. But if you're LaVine, I think you look at the team and you're like, okay, before everybody started to get hurt, we were moving in a good direction. We were winning a lot of games. We were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference at one point. Why would I leave to go elsewhere, especially if the Chicago Bulls are willing to pay him? LaVine is one of the best scorers in the NBA, and if he does become an unrestricted free agent, he'll become one of the most sought-after players in this free agency class. Speaking of the NBA Finals, which is what we talked about a little bit earlier as I teased our NBA Finals watch parties, who is the best player in the NBA Finals? Is it Steph Curry? Is it Jason Tatum? Do you think it's Jaylen Brown, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, somebody else? Let me know in the comment section. I'm putting you to the test. Tazzy27, if Chet Holmgren is off the board, should OKC take one of the top 3 players and play them at the 5? If I'm OKC, I'm going Paolo Banchero. I have serious concerns about Chet Holmgren and his body type. I'm not sure what position he's going to play, how he's going to defend players like Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, the Joker, some of the top centers and bigs at the NBA level. And if he doesn't play 5, can he play 4? Is he going to play wing? Can he even add weight to his frame, which is a little bit hunched over? He is one of the trickiest NBA draft evaluations that we have ever seen legitimately. If I'm OKC, I'm going with the more sure thing in Paolo Banchero, who gives me flashes of a Chris Webber with more of a three-point shot. Banchero needs to be better defensively, but I love the development that's taken place with some of these young players at OKC. If Banchero can go there, I think the ceiling is very, very high for him. And even if Chet goes there, I do think that he'll be able to be a very good player. Personally, though, I'm just going Banchero. So to answer your question, Banchero if Chet is off the board. Next question coming in from Tony. Jaden Ivey or Johnny Davis would be good alongside Cade Cunningham. Go Pistons. Johnny Davis would be a really good scorer. He needs to be a little bit better in terms of his three-point stroke because last year he was so inconsistent and just not efficient enough from long range. If he's able to work out that part of his game, he was the best scorer at the college level last year. He, too, has a lot of potential. I would side with Jaden Ivey. I love the thought of teaming up Ivey with Cade Cunningham. I think that right there is an excellent backcourt duo who would allow the Pistons to have a very bright future. So I'm going Jaden Ivey, but Johnny Davis, he'd be a pretty good fit, too. I'm just not sure if it's a little bit too early to take him at number 5. Joseph, who or what do you see the Pelicans doing with the 8th pick? I'd like Johnny Davis there. If Benedict Mathurin falls, I like him in that slot as well. For Johnny Davis and Benedict Mathurin, for that matter, you bring them in off the bench, and they give you a little bit of spunk, a little bit of a scoring edge as a rotational piece. I think both of those players would fit well on that roster. And for New Orleans, if you're a Pelicans fan, you got to be really, really excited about this basketball team. If Zion Williamson comes back, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones, you select a Johnny Davis or a Benedict Mathurin with some of the other pieces on that roster. And that's without really Devontae Graham playing at all. Maybe he's a trade chip and you can get something back. Pelicans, arrow pointing up for that team. Here at Chat Sports, we have people tuned in from all across the globe, every pocket of America, and internationally as well. Where specifically, though, are you watching us from? Shout out your zip code, your area code, your state, your city, your borough, your town, whatever, in the comment section right now. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to us on Rumble as well. You can follow our NBA Now content on Rumble for more NBA news and rumors juice. One of Trace Gerard's favorite words, rumble.com/NBA Now. Make sure you subscribe to us on the Rumble side of things. Okay, we did get a $20 super chat, and I did say if we got to $50 of super chats on our live show, that I would shotgun a beer. After this mailbag is up, I will shotgun that beer. If you're watching us after the fact, this is why you tune in to us live. The Gold Eagle 99 coming through clutch. Appreciate you, my guy. Jason Kreider, what are your thoughts on Steph Curry's legacy after we win the title and he gets his finals MVP? Okay, so you got your prediction in. Also, is that Drake who's bald, or do you just look like Drake and you're bald? That's pretty wild if that's the case. For Steph Curry and his legacy, if he gets championship ring number 4, it's crazy to think that he ties LeBron James. And in this generation, if Steph wins another championship, and if he overtakes LeBron with yet another championship, does he become the face of this generation of the NBA? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think that's a hyperbolic statement. Steph Curry also would vault into one of the top 5 or 10 players in NBA history if he gets another championship and he wins a Finals MVP. Now, up to this point, he has not gotten an NBA Finals MVP. Went to Andre Iguodala, and 2 went to Kevin Durant. So that would add another element to his mantle on his resume, which would further solidify his resume as one of the game's greats of all time. Michael, any news on a possible expansion team to Seattle? I'm going to say this right now. The NBA is going to add 2 teams over the next 5 years or so. I think one is going to be in Las Vegas, and the other is going to be in Seattle. I think those are the 2 new expansion teams that are going to enter the NBA fold. And because of that, I think the NBA schedule is going to get limited and knocked down from 82 games, and there are going to be less games played because the NBA will be able to make up for that loss of revenue with new teams. Seattle is one of the best sports fan bases in the country. The fact that the Supersonics were taken away was a joke. OKC's done a great job rallying around the Thunder, but for the franchise to be taken out of Seattle, that shouldn't have happened. They're going to go to Seattle. I think they're going to go to Las Vegas. And LeBron James, he's part of the Fenway Sports Group that I think is going to invest in an NBA franchise. And it would not surprise me if LeBron is on that new Las Vegas team. Jamison Clegg, would you trade Donovan or Gobert, or would you blow it up and trade both? I wouldn't want to trade both. I think they need to get better with their wing defense. They're bad defensively along the wings, and they continue to get gashed. Now, they've been a really good regular season team, but they've been exposed defensively because of the lack of premier wing defenders. Let's say they traded for a player like Matisse Thybulle. My gosh, he would be so good on that team if he can become a more efficient three-point shooter, because right now he's in the low 30s in terms of the percentile. But trading away Donovan and Gobert, I'd like to keep one, and I think you win championships with guards and wings. I'd like to keep Donovan Mitchell and get a lot back for Gobert. I think you could get a really good package back for him and maybe give Donovan Mitchell more shooters, but also more wing defense. I wouldn't completely blow it up. I would certainly consider messing around with that roster, though. Tillman, Shaedon Sharpe to the Kings. It's a good fit. Shaedon Sharpe has superstar potential, and he could legitimately be the number 1 prospect in this draft class. He has that upside as a scorer who reminds me a lot of a Bradley Beal or a Jalen Green. Here's my scouting profile on Sharpe. Number 1 recruit in the 2021 high school class after he reclassified and enrolled early, but he never played for Kentucky. So he's one of the biggest mysteries in this draft because there's no college or professional tape on him. Going from his junior year to his senior year, he grew from 6'4" to 6'6", above the rim athlete who can certainly sky, and he can get a bucket from absolutely anywhere. Another super chat coming in, $5 from D-Lo. What do you think about the Spurs in terms of what they should do this offseason? They are the current favorites to land LaVine if he leaves the Bulls. So what do I think about the Spurs? Yeah, look, they've been a mediocre team for a little while. Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. he hasn't done much to move the needle the last couple of years. Now, I think there is something to be said for them at least being competitive and competing for spots, in the NBA play-in tournament. San Antonio over time, one of the best dynasties of all time in the early 2000s, and then in that 2010 range when they went back-to-back NBA Finals and won that championship against the Miami Heat. But since then, they really haven't done all that much. Now, they got shafted when Kawhi Leonard had asked out. If he's still on this team, they become an interesting team year in and year out. And they didn't get much back in that deal, trading away Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors. But the Spurs right now, look, do you bring back Lonnie Walker? I think he's an underrated player who's about to break out. I love DeJounte Murray. They do have some other decent complementary players. You trade away White, and he's been awesome for Boston. They do have the cap space to land a Zach LaVine and sign him to a big deal. They also have the cap space to maybe go after a player like DeAndre Ayton. They could go big fish hunting this offseason. And if they do, if they add a star with DeJounte Murray, they immediately become a pretty interesting team in the Western Conference. Who is the most underrated player in the NBA? That's my final question for you during this mailbag. After you ask me a bunch of questions, I'm asking you one more. Most underrated player in the NBA? Let me know right now. Thanks for watching this mailbag. Okay, I do have to shotgun a beer. We got the $50 in Super Chats and more. Do you have a set of keys on you, Coop? Yeah, I have keys on my desk if so. Right now, I'm going to give some shout-outs to those of you in the comment section, and then momentarily we'll be going live exclusively on Rumble. Pass those Johns. Oh, a lot of keys here. My gosh. I get my selection. Whoever's keys these are. There's a lot of them. Tish Cooksey. Hell no top 5, though. I think it's Steph Curry right now. Go Warriors. Robert Bruce. Hi, Mitch. Hello, everyone. What are the Celtics' chances without Robert Williams? I am Chase. I am not Mitch. What'd you say? If he wants to shotgun a beer, he can. I mean, yeah. We're going to bring the new guy on. He's going to drink a beer. No, get him a beer. Get him a beer, and I'll shotgun one with him. Welcome to Chat Sports, Patrick Seatman. We'll go live on Rumble. We have more NBA to talk about. We'll go live after our YouTube show wraps up. Why don't you pop that link up so people can join us on the Rumble side of things? Are you a big shotgunner or no? A little bit? All right. You want me to do it for you? You got it? All right. Here you go. Come onto the screen. You can stand over here a little bit. What'd you say? No. I crack it like that. Yeah. Unless you do it the other way. Do you go this way? Yeah. See, I like to go down and then just sip it. All right. So Patrick Seatman, that is the proper pronunciation. He just joined us today. This is his first day at Chat Sports, and we're about to shotgun beers live on the show. First day on the job, and he's shotgunning a beer because he's a real one because of all of you giving us more than $50 in Super Chat. So welcome to Chat Sports. Cheers to you. And everybody, spam Seeps in the comment section right now. Here we go. Cheers, brother. Good work right there. You can throw out my empty. My man. First day on the job, and he's shotgunning a beer. That's how we roll at Chat Sports. Willie Fins. Let's go. Whoever's keys these are, you can take those as well. Oh, man, that's fun stuff. See, we like to talk hoops. We like to talk football, and we like to have fun here at Chat Sports as well. Oh, needed that one out there. My goodness. Whew. So we're about to go live exclusively on Rumble. My internet keeps dying out, so as long as we're good to go on the Rumble side of things, we will go live exclusively on Rumble. More NBA news and rumors to get to on Rumble. Make sure you head on over and join us by plugging in that link, rumble.com/NBA now. I'm going to pull up the show there, and I'm going to give everybody shout-outs who is in the comment section right now. Once you get over to Rumble, get into the comment section and I'll give you some shout-outs. And in the YouTube stream right now, appreciate everybody for watching us, for rocking and rolling with us as another NBA Now is in the books. And thanks as always for your super chats. Join us on Rumble right now. We have so much more to talk about. Rumble.com/NBA Now. We'll see you